Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in New South Wales, Australia. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying their Friday night. If you are in Sydney, you're obviously just sitting on the couch like everyone else. So hopefully, you are having a good Friday. If you are somewhere else in the world, hope you're enjoying your freedom. Larry, end of the working week. How's things, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. I'm happy it's Friday, that's for sure. It's been a long week. But, Tom, I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard that Cristiano Ronaldo has signed for Manchester United? Like, I would not know it looking at Manchester United's social media platforms.
It is. I was just having to scroll through their Twitter and Instagram sort of thing and just to see how much they are sort of focusing on Ronaldo compared to other players. Like, I only found out half an hour ago that Harry Maguire scored for England today.
Yeah, I know, but that's irrelevant because Cristiano Ronaldo signed for Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo breathed today and Cristiano Ronaldo blinked today and he spoke to someone today and he ate food today.
Well, we will get
That's
on
all
to
up
that
there.
man, Cristiano Ronaldo, I think, because we might as well, here we are with a video about him. We're going to talk about him, but we'll see a few boys in the comments. Josh, good evening, mate. And George also, evening. Nice to see Ronaldo get a strategic yellow card celebrating his record so he could arrive in Manchester ahead of schedule, which we'll sort of touch on in terms of his goals against Ireland. Obviously, a big win against Ireland. And Josh has a question here for you. Larry, have you attempted a lockdown fade?
I did. Yeah, I did. What do you
Personally,
think?
or did you
No,
break
I
lockdown
did it
rules?
myself, but I think I did all right. I took a very cautious approach, so I didn't do anything too crazy. But what do you think, Josh? I think it's all right, actually. I think people have done worse.
Well, here's George in the comments. G'day, mate. And Ian, our good friend from over in Perth, Viva Varane. Let's not forget about him. But Ronaldo, obviously, I think that's the thing with always the excitement around Sancho and Ronaldo. I think a lot of us deep down sort of do agree that Varane is potentially the most exciting signing. But it is a podcast about Ronaldo because who else is there to talk about? Costley, of course, has a much better preference as well and joined my fade. Elliot, good evening, mate. And Josh gives it a good, solid 8 out of 10 rating, which is a bit generous in my opinion. But Cristiano Ronaldo, if you are enjoying the video or enjoying the Ronaldo chat, please do leave a like on the video and make sure you subscribed if not. But get your comments in as well in regards to this discussion and what your thoughts, because we will sort of highlight our hypocrisy at times as well in terms of when we talk about the Glazers and Ronaldo's signing. And I'm sure everyone is an expert on the Man United shop at the moment in terms of how to buy shirts, etc., which we'll discuss. But first of all, that man you talked about, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously does play for Manchester United. And it wasn't a secret. Man United were pushing to get the number 7 shirt. Ronaldo obviously wanted the 7 shirt for his brand, and he got it. No real surprises, but there was a little bit of concern a week ago, or not even a week ago, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, for sure there was. But look, I think we discussed this on Tuesday, didn't we? You felt like this was going to happen. It was too big a deal for the Premier League to let go.
Larry's frozen. His mum's frozen him. What I'll do, Larry, I'll just remove you from the stream. Then I'll come back to you. Just so I'll kick you out, then come back in. So he's removed. See if he comes back in a little bit. But actually, he might be back in now. Oh, you just got a refill, did you?
Yeah, I've been brought
service.
wine and nuts. How good. You know what? Perks of living in a Middle Eastern home. Good perks. What was I saying? Cristiano Ronaldo, he was guaranteed to get the 7, I think. And the Premier League would have been nuts to not do it, to be honest. I think that given the amount of money that there's there to be made, it was a no-brainer. And I think it's the right call. Like, imagine if he got 28 or he got 21 or whatever it would have been. It would have been the wrong call. So really happy that this is the right outcome for United.
Yeah, well, Mike leaves a comment here saying, is it feasible to resurrect the 4-4-2 and have Cavani and Ronaldo up front rotating? And that's something I'm a big fan of, having 2 strikers. Whether that is the way forward, I'm not quite sure, but it is something I'm sure we'll have a discussion about in future weeks or maybe next week in the lead up to that game, because obviously Cavani hasn't gone away with Uruguay and Ronaldo is back in the fold. So look, at some stage you will see Ronaldo and Cavani up front. Whether Ronaldo's a little bit to the left, time will tell. But on Edison Cavani, and he's obviously moved from 7 to number 21 because of Daniel James being able to vacate the shirt. I'm just thinking Ronaldo, in one of his interviews he's done with MUTV or the website or the app, he's come out and say he's very grateful for Edison Cavani leaving the shirt sort of thing and just being a good, polite person. And I'm sure he's probably reading off a script in terms of what Man United have told him to say. Cavani, do you think, well, he obviously has been pushed. He's obviously the club have told him we want to give the shirt to Ronaldo. Do you think he has just what we discussed a couple of days ago, just saying, okay, it's Ronaldo. It's not just some player coming in wanting 7. It is arguably the best player of all time. I'm more than happy to do it.
Look, I don't think Cavani would have made a fuss, and I'm sure he's had private conversations with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If I think of what the man manager he's portraying himself to be, I would have thought he'd have a conversation with Cavani. But Cavani's not naive enough. He's been around in the game long enough to know that Cristiano Ronaldo and what he means to this fan base. It is a big deal, and I think that it's just a maturity. I think if this was a Jadon Sancho, for example, who had the 7, I think this conversation would have been much more difficult, Tom. But I think it's good that a seasoned professional like Cavani did have it. And can we just say, credit to Cavani, he lifted the curse before handing it back to its rightful owner. So kudos to the Uruguayan for that.
Well, there might be something in that because, fingers crossed, we do go on to have a successful season. And if we do, that means Ronaldo has had a good season. And look, the football narrative sort of side of all us fans, I think we'll have something in that 7 story because obviously it has been a cursed shirt since Valencia took over. Then Michael Owen, Di Maria, etc. Memphis. God, I'm rattling off some names from the past there, but obviously back in its rightful hands now. Just 1 or 2 more comments. Just seen one here from one of our listeners in Northern Ireland, Jamie, mate. Good morning, where you are. And evening, Rob also has joined us and he's also given his thoughts on the preferred formation, the old Mike Bassett, England manager, 4-4-2. And one from me, and I think Cavani is going to be great alongside Ronaldo with 2 up front, but I worry that our wingers wouldn't be as defensive to complement that formation. Well, that's the thing. Like everyone, I've gone back and sort of watched Ronaldo's highlights, especially his last season in Juventus. And I know Rob, who follows Juventus closely as well, maybe could shed a little bit more insight. But from what I've seen from Ronaldo, when we do watch the highlights, it does look like a number 9 and a striker. He does venture out to the left a little bit, so it will be interesting. Obviously, we've got Sancho, we've got Martial, we've got Rashford, all sort of favour that left-hand side. Ronaldo, even when he plays up front, favours the left-hand side. So we're definitely not short on that side. So attacking-wise, looks fantastic. Defensively, not sure how it is going to sort of line up. But we will move on. The last bit about Ronaldo before we move on. He's obviously scored those 2 goals against Ireland, and he took his shirt off after the winner and sort of put an end to the myths of all those people on TalkSport saying that he's going to be over the hill because they showed a comparison of his shirt off at Euro 2004 for Portugal and won now in 2021. And I'm telling you, he looks far fitter now than he did back in 2004 when he first signed for Man United. Absolutely unbelievable. But the main talking point is obviously he scored those 2 traumatic goals. Fantastic. But as I said, the shirt has come off. He has been given a yellow card. Now, Portugal have 2 more remaining games. This international break, 1 being a friendly against Qatar and 1 being a qualifier, which he's obviously suspended for. So Portugal have released him from international duty to sort of almost kickstart his return to Manchester. Now, I'm not sure what his schedule is. He's probably got to go back to Turin, pack his bags, sort of get a few things, get a few bits of clothing to take to Manchester. But then obviously quarantine. It's all reports saying he's got about a 5-day quarantine, which I can't understand. If Bruno Fernandes is with Portugal and coming back to Manchester, he doesn't have to, but Ronaldo for some reason does. It's not a political discussion, but that is interesting. But your thoughts on, obviously he hasn't taken the shirt off to get back to Manchester quicker, but it is a good story, isn't it?
It is a good story. And I think we are all victim of the narrative around us. And when you see the media speculate, look, for me, he will be a success. I think the odds of him being successful against not successful are definitely in favor of him, a more positive outcome. But you can't deny that there's been that element in the back of your head that says, is this story almost too good to be true to have a happy ending? So I think the Ireland performance, particularly the way Ireland set up, it was a good game of football. And can I say, Ireland deserved to win that game. Bloody hell, they played well. They shut Portugal down. But Ronaldo just doing what Ronaldo does. And I think the way he scored, particularly the header at the end, this is going to be the biggest headache for Solskjaer for me. He is clearly a player that you can't sub off if you're chasing a goal. Because his overall game, I'm not going to say he was brilliant, but his moments, Tom, 93rd minute winning header. So that's going to be his greatest issue. How is he going to keep everyone in that dressing room happy in terms of playing time, particularly his attacking options, while acknowledging that you cannot afford to take Ronaldo off simply because he can score at any time?
I think that's the thing. I think when we're saying here, how is he going to manage Ronaldo and Cavani, we all say, okay, Ronaldo start 1 week, Cavani come on after 70 minutes, or if Cavani starts, Ronaldo comes on after 70 minutes. But you're right in saying that. If come 70th minute and it's 1-1 or 0-0, the last thing that any manager can do in world football is take Ronaldo off. So suddenly, if we're in close games for a month or 2 months of close games, we're going to be playing Ronaldo for 90 minutes. And that'll be where the man management for Solskjaer does come in. But a few comments here. Rob obviously talking about in terms of how he lined up for Juventus. We all know he can play anywhere in the front three. At Juve, he was mainly a 9 in the box and the main focal point. Maybe too much would hurt Juve as it went all through him. And look, similar with Portugal at Euro 2020 or Euro 2021. It was all through Ronaldo, and I thought that was a detriment to put the way Portugal played. But Ian as well, I can't comprehend the shirt off celebrations, maybe because I'm not in the slimmest, maybe not because I'm not the slimmest, but showcase your shirt with pride. Or did he want a yellow to get to Carrington? Ian, don't be so humble. I can see yourself. Ian's obviously a member of our pro clubs team. I can see when Ian scores for our pro clubs, him running around his lounge room with the shirt swinging Ryan Giggs style. George, a bit off topic, but given his recent form, how is De Gea not starting for Spain? Well, yeah, it's interesting. I've seen the photos of David De Gea away, but yeah, he should be a Spanish keeper for me. He's Man United's number one, and if you're Man United's number one goalkeeper, you should be starting for your country. And Ryan here from the Supporters Club, Trevor Sinclair on Talk Shite, changing his tune this week was a particular highlight. Ronaldo will offer something to United this season. Big game player. Yeah, no, if anyone is on Twitter, you've obviously been following the Trevor Sinclair stuff. It has been quite amusing. So he was so excited about him joining City, and then he obviously joined United, and suddenly he's over the hill and a waste of money. But talking about money, we'll move on to the Glazers. And if you don't like the Glazers, please leave a like on the video. But we're going to sort of highlight us being hypocrites, and it's definitely not a criticism of anyone because people in the chat. I'll get your thoughts as well. Everyone in the chat, but yours as well, Larry.
Yeah.
We sat here in April, I think it was. We're just discussing the Liverpool match was postponed last season when the Man United fans stormed the Old Trafford pitch. Glazers out protest was 1 or 2 protests in the weeks around that as well, obviously at Carrington and everything. It got such a buzz. It's got such worldwide momentum. The Glazers got in touch with the fan, or not in touch, but there was some type of dialogue and connection that looked like not that it was going to change things, but it was a step in the right direction. They were doing all the right PR things. And we sat here, and I'm sure everyone in the chat did the same thing. We sat here and said, okay, we're not buying a shirt next season. Okay, that's what we're going to do. That'll be our part. And look, a shirt is a small part. Match-going fans buy a match ticket. That goes into the pockets. I've got a $450 Lego set behind me. That goes into the pocket sort of thing. I buy an MUTV subscription. But my one bit was, okay, I'm not going to give because I've seen the prices for the shirts now, Australian dollars, they're about $150, 120,
Yeah,
150 bucks. So I said, okay, I'm not going to buy a shirt this season. That was my one stance. And I know a lot of people, you're in the same boat as well, and I'll get your thoughts in the comments as well. A lot of people are in the same boat. Fast forward, here we are at the end of August, we've signed Cristiano Ronaldo. Pretty much everyone I know, and definitely not a criticism. I haven't done it yet, but look, if Ronaldo puts one in the top corner against Newcastle, I'm logging on to United Direct and probably buying my Champions League Ronaldo shirt. So it's not a criticism, but I sit here and just ask everyone, yourself, but also people in the live comments, is this why the Glazers will always win and how easily manipulated us fans are? Because we're all saying with our chest, puffed it out, said, okay, we're not going to buy a shirt next season. They give us those few shiny toys, and here we are flocking. I'll be fascinated to see what the shirt sales have been in the past week, or not the past week, but obviously Ronaldo's been announced as 7 today. But what the shirt sales would be like for Ronaldo, because everyone I know has gone out and bought one.
I guarantee he'll be more than 1 million sales already, undoubtedly. He's a global superstar. And if you're going to talk about the Glazers, it's a really difficult one, to be honest. I'm going to sit on the fence of, I've been critical of the Glazers, but in saying that and looking at it from a business perspective, I can understand why they run the club with debt. And I think and I understand, like, from a football fan perspective, you're not always going to understand that. But you have to look at it from when you are a business owner, you can leverage tax and the amount of money you bring in by having debt. So I believe that's what I'm obviously not their financial advisor or planner, but I imagine that's why they do it. I assure you, they have enough money in the bank to clear the debt tomorrow. The thing with this is, I don't think the debt really bothers people too much, and it really shouldn't. I think the broader concern actually should be, and has been, the lack of it. Well, yes, there's been investment in the transfer window, but not to the extent that you would expect for a club of Manchester United's stature and the status of United's financial earnings. They don't spend all that the club earns, and they put it in their own pocket. I think that this transfer window was a really positive step in the right direction. And if I'm being entirely honest, I'm going to look at it from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign because I feel like that's where the positive changes have started. The criticism is justified, and I'm happy that the protest of Old Trafford did take place. I think that almost kicked the Glazers into gear. They've put some investment into Old Trafford recently, which we do also have to remember. They have painted the stadium, which has been crying out for the last 10 years, I want to say. I know you're grinning, Tom, and I agree with you. It's almost comical, but they have done it, okay? They've put in a large outlay this transfer window. The test for the Glazers to turn the detestation against them will be continued investment into the squad. I think we'd want to see this sort of outlay season on season. Because if you think back to Mourinho's second season in charge, he got Lukaku, Matic. It was positive. But then the following season, we finished second. He got Delot, Fred, and Lee Grant. It's going to be about that continued investment. So if they do that, if they do put investment into improving Old Trafford, which we know still has a lot of issues, I think that if they continue to do those things, I think that they will slowly change the perspective against them. And you have to say that the last few months has been positive, but it's not about moments. The Glazers, it took 15 years of shit to get to this point. We're going to need the same level of positive contribution to the club, I think, to change the conception.
Well, I'll just go to some comments here. In regards to the Glazers, Ian over from Perth saying, I have the most unpopular opinion on the Glazers. Ultimately, the club will always be a business. That's modern football. I don't see any other owner coming in, any other owner, I think, coming in with a different mindset. And I think that's a lot of us. As much as we hate the Glazers, we all sit here and sort of can understand things from their side of things while we don't agree with it. That is the thing. George saying here, the Glazers will always go on to win anyway. The size of the club is far too big and the revenue we generate is more than any other football club. Ryan Butler, a paint job at Old Trafford and signing Ronaldo is relatively cheap short-term solution to shut fans up. Ultimately, it's the past and long-term future that people have to judge on. And Pram here saying, disagree partly with Larry regarding the Glazers have been able to use our club assets and revenues to service their existing debts in other investments, funds that should never have been able to leave the club in that way. And look, that's the thing in terms of you do look at how many dividends the family take out in the past year, and that's that money in terms of there's that stat in terms of how much money Roman Abramovich and Sheikh Mansour has put into City since the Glazers have taken over, or since they took over. Obviously, Roman Abramovich took over pretty much the same time as the Glazers.
Tom, can I ask you a question? And I'm not trying to be cynical here. I just want to have a level-headed approach to this because it's easy to come on here and just say the Glazers are shit. They've done this, they've done that. If United had won more championships post-Fergie, do you think the appetite against the Glazers would be this negative? I know there was the 2010 protest. I know there was the protest in 2006. But if we were more successful, do you think we would have seen the levels that we saw in April? Because I'm telling you, I truthfully don't believe there would have been.
No. I think in April, the one that sort of, and it was underlined, the issues were underlined before April. But what happened in April was the European Super League. That was probably going to be fast tracked even more if we were successful. So the issues have always been that underlined, sort of bubble into the surface, and that European Super League kicked the fans into gear. Now, I think there are two sets of fans. There are the everyday fan like us who sort of see everything and don't get too overreactionary, but there are which is a large part of the fan base in terms of online, that Twitter, but maybe a bit of a younger generation, who their anger towards the Glazers stemmed from the lack of transfers, which is nothing. Okay, yes, we do need investment. Well, we do need investment in the team, but that's where a lot of that noise came from. But regardless, yeah, as you say, the 2010 protests were there. That was filled with anger towards the protests, and that was off the back.
And we were winning.
It was our most successful period. Now, obviously, Ronaldo had just been sold and what was replaced with Gabriel Obertan sort of thing. So you can understand the frustration there. But no, I think this is bubbling. And in terms of what's happened from 2005 to 2010, to now a decade later, more information and fans have become more knowledgeable about what is happening behind the scenes. And they're sort of
Can I
inner
ask you another
workings.
question then? Let me ask you another question. If we saw a transfer window like we saw this season, year on year for the next 5 years, we see investment into Old Trafford, we see season passes not increase in price. What's your attitude towards the Glazers then, if that were to happen?
Look, success ultimately will cloud things, and it'll change your opinions. It'll paper over cracks. But as I said, we've had success in terms that I think the damage is done. We have owners who want to create a Super League. This Super League will come back in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. This Super League will happen at some stage, whether that be a reform to the Champions League or a so-called Super League. So the damage is done no matter what they do. They don't have Man United success at the forefront of their sort of objectives.
I don't think the Super League will happen. I don't think
that's
the
coming
Super
back.
League will.
Whether it happens, it's coming back. It's the Glazers' number one priority. It's coming back. Whether it's successful, the Glazers lied to us saying, okay, we were wrong. They're going to come back with it.
I'll tell you what, mate, with the Super League, and I don't want to digress too far, I think what these clubs, and the reason for the Super League was, and to be honest, while I don't agree with the Super League, I agree with the foundation of their argument and why they look to do it. These clubs, the Real Madrids, AC Milans, Inter Milans, Manchester United, Chelsea, Man City, not so much, Barcelona, Juventus, they have large fan bases globally, okay? There is a fair argument, in my opinion, to say these clubs deserve a larger piece of the pie when you're talking about Champions League revenue. And whether they're in the Champions League or not, sure, I understand. But when these clubs even play in Europe, I guarantee I'd love to see the ratings for Manchester United Europa League games against Benfica's, with all due respect, Champions League matches. The ratings would still be there for Manchester United. There is a fair argument to say that these clubs deserve a larger piece of the revenue because they bring in the ratings. That's the reality of it. If I have more people walking through my cafe than you have in your cafe, I'm going to get more money than you, right? It's the same principle with this TV revenue money. These clubs are so marketable that they're arguing we deserve a larger share of the pie. So if UEFA Champions League wants to continue in its current format, which we all agree that's the format we love and enjoy, there has to be a format that rewards these clubs, should they be successful in the Champions League and qualifying for the Champions League, to get a larger share of the pie. I think that's the right outcome.
But for the way the owners, in my opinion, and look, we could have this discussion for hours, the way the owners can not guarantee, but reward themselves by making sure they get that large piece of the pie is to be successful. Don't sort of worry about dropping down to the Europa League or out of European football and suddenly you're without the money. Make sure you're getting that money.
I agree with you. 100%.
Make sure you're getting the money by investing and staying at the top. If you don't invest and you fall behind, well, you can have no complaints if you're not getting that top dollar. So look,
I agree with that for sure.
We could have that debate for hours. But just one or two before we move on to sort of more football issues. The issue that is from George here, the issue that always seems to go under the rug is the treatment of the United women's team. It seems to be almost criminal. And yeah, the women start today, so good luck to them. That's a podcast for another day, which I'm sure we've got one or two people who want to jump on and talk about the women's team as well. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it done for today, but one or two more here. Pram, people would complain less, as Larry said, but ethically I have an issue with the debt servicing and lack of fan ownership. And from Ryan, fans were against and frustrated from a Glazer takeover. They formed their own breakaway club, obviously in FC United. This isn't a recent issue. From most fans, this has been a long-standing issue since they came. And it's definitely hard to disagree. One or two more comments from here. Ian from Perth. Larry is basically saying one cafe gets more for a coffee than the other. It means the smaller cafe goes out of business. So essentially it will harm the growth or sustainability of smaller clubs, which is a discussion in regards to the football pyramid, whether we're talking about the English or in terms of this Champions League setting and how sort of European clubs do sort of function and do sort of have their potential to grow. But Mike here, last point, saying good point. Larry, in a way, Super League would be an amazing spectacle and a big money spinner from global audience wanting to watch. And look, it's just my opinion. I think it'll come back. Obviously, the Real Madrid president hasn't shut up about it. He still thinks it's going to be happening next season for his money. But I do have a feeling much of the Glazers have sort of spoken about mistakes in terms of the communication. I think Ian actually just put one comment up here saying, I think we want to see better communication, respect and understanding of the fans, which is what the Glazers did for a week. but then has gone awfully quiet. So I think we'll leave it
But
on that.
how
And I'm sure
often do you want them to? All right, let me ask you then. All right, talking about the Glazers, forget the debt. That's always going to be there. And to be honest, from my perspective, unless the club go broke or they file for bankruptcy, the debt's not a problem. They're spending money in the transfer window season on season, so that's not really an issue. Okay, what do the Glazers need to do for you to, do you think at least, for this hatred toward them to change? Can it, no matter what they do, can it change? Because if the answer is get rid of the debt, that's just not going to happen.
Oh, no, look, the debt agreement, while I prefer there's no debt in terms of the financial side of things, which I'm sure there's far more experts than me who will be able to understand the benefits, as you sort of mentioned, in terms of the tax issue, which the Glazers have sort of, and Ed Woodward have come out and sort of defended in terms of, yes, we can clear it, but we're not going to because so-and-so. So, yeah, the debt isn't the issue for me. It is, look, if this transfer window happened every season, we're signing Ronaldo every season, yeah, it'll go away because they're showing ambition on the pitch. If that ambition was shown over the last decade, I'm a firm believer. If United spent the money we generated, our last 10 years, our front three should have been Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar for the last 10 years. That should have been our front three if the club was allowed to spend what it made. But that money that we are bringing in is going out to the Glazers, and it's not being reinvested into the club, which it should be, which how sort of a football club, in my opinion, whether it be a fan ownership model or the way it should be run, that money that United do generate should be invested back onto the product, which is the football pitch. And it just hasn't been in recent years or recent 10 years. But just one more here from Josh. Respect for the fans. Respect for the fans go more than a 30. Sorry, I'll read that again. Respect for the fans goes more than a 30-minute Zoom meeting. And look, at the moment, that's all it has been. Whether that sort of they come good on their promise, time will tell. But we will move on to football side of things. If you are enjoying the video, please do leave a like on the video. And just one last thing in the comments there, put in terms of I haven't bought a shirt yet. I know, Larry, you'll get the Ronaldo shirt. Look, if Ronaldo puts one in the top corner against Newcastle, I'll very likely go and get my long sleeve Ronaldo 7 shirt. But just in the comments, let us know if you back in April, if you were saying, no, I'm not buying a shirt, but have come around to the idea in the last couple of days that you do want to buy a shirt. Again, I'm likely very much going to do the same thing, so it's not a criticism, but just leave in the comments why you've come around to that decision. And again, look, I've got a Lego set. I buy my MUTV subscription, so I'm putting money in the Glazers' pockets as much as anyone, but I haven't come around to buying a shirt yet, so I would be interested to get your opinions, sort of how you have come to that decision. But on football, and we will go, wrap up with a little bit of football discussion, United have released sort of announced their Player of the Month candidates. Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, and Mason Greenwood. For me, there's only one clear winner, but I'll have your thoughts, Larry, first.
If we're talking about performance, I'd actually be going Pogba. Because if you're talking like what the player contributes over a 90 minutes, it's Paul Pogba easily. But if you're talking about moments and who's, I guess, driven the outcome of Manchester United over the last month, then it's Mason Greenwood. So I don't know how they measure this. Mason's a no-brainer for me. I think it comes down to what do you contribute at the end of the day, and he's contributing goals. So it's Mason for me, but depending on the criteria, I could make an argument for Pogba. I think Bruno was really good against Leeds. I think he's been a little bit quiet since though.
Yeah, no, I think that in terms of football, Paul Pogba has been our best player in all 3 games. You can make a case the best footballer in, definitely Southampton. Wolves obviously had a good game, and Leeds 4 assists.
Can someone explain to me how he wasn't up for Player of the Month? Can someone please explain that to me for the Premier League?
Yeah, it's Paul Pogba. But Mason Greenwood for me would be Player of the Month, obviously, in terms of how we do our 3-2-1s as well. George is saying here Player of the Month. Rob saying Mason has won 2 and saved us in 1 game. So for me, it is definitely Greenwood as well. George saying Player of the Month for me is Mason Greenwood as well. And look, Bruno Fernandes, I don't know how he's got in there. Like, okay, well, I suppose he did have the hat trick against Leeds, which is something we'll probably look back at the end of the season and talk about what a moment, and rightfully so. But for me, Mason Greenwood. But just on that, we'll talk about 3-2-1s. I will bring up our 3-2-1s, sort of an update, and it's not really an update. We're 3 games into the season, so obviously some of the players aren't even on the scoreboard yet. But Varane obviously has a point for his performance against Wolves, but Bruno and Pogba are both tied on 3. Mason Greenwood on 5 points. So you would think he's in the lead for this Player of the Month. However, the one player who isn't in there, who's leading our 3-2-1s, David De Gea. He's on 6 points for us. So is maybe David De Gea a little bit unlucky not to be in this discussion?
I think you and I know how to assess a football game better than these so-called panelists or whoever's putting out the criteria for these Man United Player of the Month. I agree with you. I would actually be removing. Here's what I found. Oh, Siri wants to join in on the conversation.
What's her
I would
opinion?
be including David De Gea in the conversation instead of Bruno. I think De Gea's been magnificent. And Tom, can I actually ask you on the Spaniard? Is this the best David De Gea we've seen in 2.5 seasons? Because I have not seen him play this way since Arsenal away when Ollie first came in. Seriously.
We look at what was the Europa League game a couple of months ago in terms of, I think it might have been a quarterfinal or a semi-final. It was a high-scoring game, so I think he led a few wins. It might have been Roma or something. I remember he was man of the match, and we scored 5 or 6 goals or whatever it was. But he was fantastic. But yeah, in terms of it, and whether can we call 3 games consistent, it's not really a bit of form, but like it is a turn in the positive direction. But yeah, look, he's been the best goalkeeper for a decade for me. Okay, he has slipped off a little bit. Not even slipped off. I just think other goalkeepers have sort of risen to the occasion and shown their qualities. I don't think De Gea really dropped too much. He just sort of under the spotlight a little bit more at Man United. But yeah, he's definitely a candidate in terms of me for Player of the Month. Both, well, maybe not the Premier League in terms of it's very hard to give that to a goalkeeper. But for United, yeah, definitely me. But Ryan here is saying, give it Pogba to see how Souness copes out. I think that just for Souness' health, it's probably a good thing that the Premier League doesn't give Player of the Month to Paul Pogba, because who knows how that would result for Graham Souness. But anything else United related or Ronaldo related we've forgotten to discuss, mate?
Should I get the home shirt or the away shirt?
We'll let Larry know in the comments. Which home shirt, which away shirt, the light blue or the dark blue?
No, light blue. I'm not vibing that dark blue shirt. Not. I really like the away shirt. I really like the red contrast on there. But that dark navy shirt, I know they try to throw it back to that jersey from, was it 96? Not a fan. I'm not feeling it.
92, 93. But I could see you in a situation on Saturday night wearing that thing and obviously the yellow shorts to complement it well.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Maybe if I want to look like an absolute clown.
Well, they are some short. We'll see. I think someone said the next time we wear it, it's gonna be that kit before we wear the sky blue one. One here from George. Sorry, not to get dragged into the debate, but I feel De Gea is the better keeper. Do you keep him for a max 3 good years, but risk losing Henderson for possibly 10 years?
Lose Henderson tomorrow, mate.
No, but that's another that debate, George. That's another podcast. We discuss it every week, but yeah, I'm kind of bored of it at the moment. And my mum is obviously watching, and she wants to get both Larry. But whether she's going to buy you both, she hasn't bought me the shirt yet, so I'm obviously first in line. But anything else to discuss, especially Ronaldo related? We've gone 5 minutes not talking about him. So, is there anything you want to mention to remind everyone that he plays for United?
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's talk about Ronaldo. Actually, we've got the Newcastle game coming up. I was thinking about this earlier today, Tom. Do you think there could be a situation where you have Ronaldo playing on the left, not as a traditional winger? He's definitely not going to track back. But could you see a situation where, because I think Cavani's going to play this season, I really do, and I think Solskjaer, considering the lengths he went to convince Cavani to stay, I think he has to play him. So could you see a situation where Ronaldo plays that wide left forward position, and he plays Cavani through the middle, and whether that be then a Mason or a Sancho on the right?
Well, there'll be games. There'll be so many different combinations. I remember in 2009 when we obviously had Rooney, Ronaldo, and Tevez, the best front three in world football, European champions. A month later, Sir Alex Ferguson adds Dimitar Berbatov to the squad. You think, how on earth is this going to work? And it just never happened. He just could never get them all on the pitch until that game. We're obviously 2-0 down at Old Trafford against Tottenham. And he put all 4 on, and we won 5-2. So obviously the debatable penalty against Michael Carrick, but it worked. But there will be times where Ronaldo plays on the left, Cavani's there. But in terms of you mentioned there saying he'll play Cavani, and I think he will. But you say that in regards to he was so adamant in persuading him to stay. But in terms of more information that's coming out about this Ronaldo deal, the Ronaldo deal just wasn't on when he was convincing Cavani to stay. The more you break down this deal for Ronaldo, he was on a list, but United just weren't touching it. It was just on the back burner, just not interested. The interest was sparked when they said, oh, hold on, he might be going to Man City. That's when the deal was put into action. So in terms of, there was no, and this might be a negative. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But a month ago, there was no plan to have Cavani and Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think if you're choosing between the two, as much, and you know what, I love Cavani. I really do. He's just an old school. He speaks like a, not he speaks, but the way he plays speaks to a traditional United number nine. I love that he's got the work rate in him, but I also like the intensity he plays at. Ronaldo doesn't play with an intensity. I want to say, like, not the way that Cavani does. He's not going to track back and put a kick and a tackle. But look, Ronaldo, obviously, the nostalgia is there, and he is a better number nine overall for sure. Can I just say, Ronaldo's pace over that 5 yard or so, he hasn't lost a thing.
Oh no,
He's quicker
he's
than
quick.
Harry Kane.
Now, look, it's a myth in terms of this pace, especially maybe not Premier League in terms of football pace is different to actual speed, but his physicality and speed, yeah, he's not 36. He's prime 27, 28 sort of thing. Like he's an absolute monster. It's an absolute myth saying that he doesn't have the legs anymore. He clearly does.
No, but he's not gonna do what he did for United 13 years
Oh
ago.
no, yeah, no, definitely not. But Jess, as well, is this your Mrs. Larry in the comments saying home shirt? Is that a hint that she's going to buy the home shirt for you, or does she want you to cough up the money?
No, she'll buy it for me.
Oh,
She'll definitely buy it for me.
I like that. Blame her for funding the Glazers. It wasn't Larry's decision to buy the shirt. It was just his lovely girlfriend just funding the pockets of the Glazers. But thank you everyone for tuning in and joining in the discussion because obviously was a lot to discuss. But again, it's a Friday night and you're in Sydney, so you obviously have nothing better to do. You are stuck on the couch unless you are, as said Ian over in Perth, living in a little bit of freedom. But Larry, it was good to chat. We only have what feels like 4 months away until Ronaldo's debut. This is going to be a long international break.
It is. Actually, can we talk about something positive related to New South Wales? We're going to be able to go watch Ronaldo sooner than Perth. So Ian might be able to have freedom. He might be able to roam the streets of Perth and travel half an hour into the city. But we'll be able to go see Ronaldo play live quicker than we'll be able to go see Ian in Perth. Now that is bonkers.
You're going to have to fill me in there. I've no idea what you're talking about.
Scott Morrison, Prime Minister, has come out and said as soon as your state hits 80% vaccination, the borders are open. You can go wherever the heck you like around the world. Sign me up. I'm out of here.
Are we going to be watching Ronaldo in the Seniors League? When do you think we're hitting that number?
Well, we're only 4 million away or 2 million away from 70%, so we're not far away, mate.
Oh, yeah. Look,
Ronaldo for Christmas.
The way things get delayed. I can even see United in terms of the way United and Solskjaer, not a criticism of Solskjaer, but I could very much see his pre-match press conference the day before the Newcastle game going, oh, look, we'll take our time with Ronaldo. There's no need to rush him sort of thing. And look, I'm praying he's ready for Newcastle, but would you be shocked? But would you be shocked if he's on the bench or not involved? You can see United saying, oh, we'll take our time with him, or there'll be delay in his quarantine, or he'll have a visa issue, or...
What's the game after Newcastle? Is it Young Boys at home?
Yeah, we've got Young Boys in the Champions League. Then we've got the double header against West Ham, one in the league, one in the League Cup.
It's really funny, Tom. The Newcastle tickets, some scalpers are selling them for something like two and a half thousand. Yeah, bonkers. Imagine he does not make his debut.
I have a feeling he'll be on the bench in terms of that announcement. In terms of, could you imagine him coming off the bench in the 60th minute, the reception in terms of thing, and I think that, and maybe the right decision. I think Cavani needs to play as well, so it's part of that management. But also, I think then you can start him in the Champions League, which is obviously not what Ronaldo's here for. But Ronaldo, the Champions League is his bread and butter. So they give him half an hour against Newcastle. While I do want to see him start, I can understand the theory. Give him half an hour against Newcastle. And then, look, Ronaldo against Young Boys, it's one of those games which we've watched over the last 10 years. Ronaldo's going to score a hat-trick. That's what he does in those Champions League games, in the group games. He goes and scores hat-tricks against those types of teams. So I do actually expect him, unfortunately, to be on the bench against Newcastle. But obviously, time will tell. Just one or two last comments before we do wrap up. Newcastle have 5 at the back in anticipation. I think a lot of teams are now, which they already do, obviously park the bus against United, but I think it's going to be at a whole new level now that Ronaldo is here. And Rob, last comment saying, could see Cavani starting away to Young Boys. Well, look, it will be interesting, especially if Solskjaer does find a system to play them both, where they're going to be rotating with each other, or as we said, Ronaldo a little bit to the left. But in terms of the way I think our front three will line up, I think it'll be against Newcastle. Unfortunately, Ronaldo on the bench, it'll be Cavani, Sancho on the left, and Greenwood on the right.
Can we look, Tom? It's Friday night. I got nowhere else to be, so sorry if I'm prolonging this podcast for anyone. Angel Di Maria, did you see his comments? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, he's just bitter. He's bitter that Ronaldo's back and Ronaldo's got the adulation of the fans. Who even asked Di Maria? I've got nothing to say about him.
I had no issue with his comments about Van Gaal, but to say I don't give a,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah, no.
grow up, mate.
Di Maria, I've been watching, as I said, I've been watching all this Ronaldo stuff. The thing that I've been enjoying today is obviously Ashley Young in that PSG match putting Di Maria into the advertising boards.
I
Definitely one of
tweeted
Ashley
that
Young's
best
highlights.
thing Ashley Young did in a United shirt. Best thing he did in a United shirt.
And Rob's definitely on the right page with the snake emoji and exactly who is Di Maria. Probably, in my opinion, actually, it might not be as bad as Alexis Sanchez in terms of the sevens. We have had some bad number sevens. But as I said, Cavani did break the curse, and the rightful owner of the 7 shirt is back in Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, if you do like the fact that Ronaldo does play for Man United, if you haven't heard already, please do leave a like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And we'll be back sometime over the weekend. Well, there's no more breaking news in regards to transfers, but we might have a discussion or two to kill some time over the international break. And next week, we'll have 2 guests appearing on the podcast who need no introduction amongst United fans, and obviously one later on in the month, another very special guest, which will be interesting to have because we have had him on before and one of our best podcasts. So we'll make an announcement on that in the near future. But hopefully, everyone has a good weekend. Thank you, Rob, for the support. Good show as always. If you are in the comments, make sure you go follow Rob's podcast as well. It's a football thing. Subscribe to their YouTube page. And Larry, have a good weekend, mate. Watching, I don't know what international game. Apparently Australia played last night. I don't know who they played, but apparently they won. But I'll try and find some international football to
Pro clubs will be the best football you'll be seeing this weekend, mate.
No, definitely. So if you are on Pro Clubs, if you are a FIFA player and on PlayStation, a lot of us have the PS5 now, but I think you can do PS5 and 4, etc. And you want to join our Pro Clubs team, we need all the help we can get. We always get to Division 2, then it's a slippery slope back down to Division 4, but we need some reinforcements to get that sort of club back up to Division 1. Especially Larry has this new Ronaldo character. Every time Larry gets the ball, 17 step overs later, everyone has to get back in their defensive position.
I'll score goals then, huh?
It's some nice goals, but extremely frustrating. So go easy on the one if you are playing tonight, Larry. Just limit yourself. But hopefully everyone did enjoy the video. And as I said, have a good weekend, and we'll chat to you shortly. Have a good one. Cheers.